Hi, this is Paul Lemberg, and in this video I'd like to tie together what I've been talking about in my last few videos. And in the first one, I talked about the importance of creating resonance with your true purpose, your true intention. This is what people mean when they talk about vibrating at a frequency. That's focusing your feelings on a particular direction, a particular outcome, which brings you into alignment with that outcome, and you know you're on your right track when you feel good. And then using that sense of alignment, vibration, and resonance as your internal GPS. And even though you won't know 100% sure where you're headed, you'll know that you're headed in the right direction. So next, I talked about paying attention to the most important aspects of whatever is going on and paying attention only to those things for the moment and letting that deliberate flow of attention sharpen your focus, give you clarity, and reveal meaning for you. Then I spoke about using logic and intuition, not either or, but both and giving much more weight to the intuition that most of us currently do, because most of us don't give it enough weight at all. Response to the ideas has been pretty strong, and then there have been a few people who are wondering, like, where's Lemberg going with all this? So here's where I'm going with all this. I want to talk to you today about something I call the strategy of creation. Now, I'm going to tie everything together, but I'm going to hop around to a few different things, so just bear with me, okay? So for the last 15 years, I've identified myself, at least in part, as a business strategist. And I define strategy as allocating your available resources and choosing a course of action that's going to give you the best chance to realize your intentions. Now, strategy as a thought process answers a few questions. It answers the question, what is my best shot at getting from where I am to where I want to be? And then, what's my fallback position? What's my plan B? And then lastly, what tools, what resources, what people, what processes, what things do I need to achieve those intentions? Usually people answer these questions by looking at a lot of facts. They look at facts like markets and prospects and customers and products and services and price points and margins and competition and demographics and technology. They look at the environment and government and society, and they look at their available resources. You steep yourself in all these facts, and then you start looking at relationships. You've heard of SWOT analysis? You look at relationships like the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities available, and then the threats. And then you look at the trends, and you pull all of these things together and you weigh the pros and cons of various alternatives. You look at actions and you look at other likely reactions, and then you try to assess the probabilities and determine likely outcomes. See, most people craft their strategies in just this way. So I told you I'm going to hop around a bit. I want to talk for a second about the law of attraction. But before I talk about that, I want to talk to you about radio. And when people think about radio, they casually think that the radio waves are being beamed into their receiver and that's what's producing the music. And that's not what's happening at all. That you have a transmitter which is tuned to a frequency, and information like a song or someone's voice is encoded on that frequency, and that's just being beamed down into the atmosphere. And then your radio receiver is tuned in resonance with that same frequency, and because it's vibrating at the same frequency, the encoded information comes through to your radio receiver. Now, if you want to make that louder, you don't beam in more radio. What you do is turn up the power on your set, and that's what makes it louder. Now, that's very, very important, and I want you to remember that for a second. Because when people think about law of attraction, in fact, it's right there in the very words. They talk about attracting success, as if you're going to bring success in from the outside, or you're going to bring relationships in from the outside, or you're going to bring a trip to Vegas in from the outside. That's not what's happening. What's happening is you set up that mental template, that idea, and you vibrate with that idea. And by vibrating strongly with that idea, you set up the template within you, then you add your own power. So you don't attract those things into you, you create them using your own power. It's a subtle difference, but it's a huge difference, and the difference matters. The insight is huge. So I want to combine all of this, and then I'm going to add a twist on what you normally call strategy. So before you start collecting your facts, You're going to take some time and align yourself. In other words, you're going to tune in to the outcome that you seek and you're going to vibrate with it. How do you do that? By focusing your intention on your desired outcome. Focus all of your attention, pay attention to your desired outcomes. And then when you feel good, when you line up with those outcomes, you know you're on the right track. So resonate with your intended outcomes. This is what people call your intention. And once you have that totally aligned and you're totally in resonance, now you want to shift your awareness back to the logical world. Steep yourself in the facts. Now I have a process for that too, but we're not going to cover it now. Steep yourself in the facts. And once you've worked your way through all the available information that you can find and collect, while not letting go of your fact-based insights and analysis, you're going to shift your awareness once again back to that point of resonance, back to where you're resonating with your intentions. And now focus on what I call the relationships, the SWOT plus the trends. Bringing it all together and you're stirring it all together. You've got your intuition on one side, you've got your resonance on one side, you've got your facts and your relationships on the other. Using your intuition to provide a framework and context and interpretation from all of the information that you've gathered, almost as if from somewhere else entirely, meaning arises, structure arises. Interconnections between all the facts that you just didn't have before start to arise. And at a certain point in this process, you simply know what to do. And where you want to go and what you need to do to get there are all lined up and all vibrating at the same frequency. Now there's one more piece to this. Maintain that vibration, maintain that resonance. Remember what I said about law of attraction, and it's really you creating at whatever frequency you're vibrating, using yourself as a power source? So here's what happens. Your personal power and the power of everyone committed to your project, assuming that everybody's in resonance, is now vibrating at that frequency with the strategy that you've just articulated. And all that accumulated power is going to create your strategy and realize your intentions in reality. And what you end up with is not strategy like a strategic plan. What you end up with is strategy like a creative act. The rest is going to be easy. This is Paul Lemberg, and I'll see you in the next video.